What's up, people? This is Abraham Walker, and this is the Perfect Real Estate channel, right? Only place on YouTube where you'll find all things king cake related, right? So on this channel, we're trying to perfect the king cake at home, right? So this is a homemade king cake. This is something you can make at home. The goal is, at the end of this whole experiment, we'll have a recipe that will be clear and concise. Hopefully, it has videos. Hopefully, it has proper weight measurements, and anyone, anywhere can make a king cake, right? So that's the journey that we're on right now. Like I said, my name is Abraham Walker. A little bit about me. I'm actually originally from New Orleans, right? So I'm born and raised in New Orleans, and I relocated to Northern Virginia, so right outside of DC. And I've been here since 2013, August of 2013. And I gotta say, I didn't know I would miss king cakes like I do. And to get a king cake shipped here, is relatively inexpensive, right? So maybe like you're talking anywhere from $60 to $60 or more to get something delivered to this area. And I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I could just make it myself, right? So then I went on YouTube and I looked for videos on how to make king cake, right? There were a couple recipes that I found, but my favorite king cake is from Haydale's Bakery in Metairie, right? In Metairie. And the recipes that I noticed online really didn't look like a Haydale's king cake. And that got me to searching. That got me to wondering. I wonder if I could reproduce a product that would rival Haydale's in my home, right? So that's what you're watching. That's what this YouTube channel is about. We're only going to talk about king cakes. After this journey is over, maybe we'll switch to the French king cake. But really, we're just talking about king cakes, right? So let's jump into the plan so that you can know like how this is all going to be broken down. Also, in case you're wondering, I'm using a lovely tool called StreamYard to stream this episode. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to also start your own streaming system. It's super easy, super simple. The link will be down below. All right, so let's talk about the plan. First up, we have the dough. Now, the dough is really the show. The dough is the show when it comes to king cake. I know that a lot of people are probably overlook the dough, right? Because it's a very sweet dish. So there could be filling in the interior, there could be icing on the exterior, there could be filling, there could be fruit filling, there could be pralines, and like there could be all kind of stuff going on. But the dough is actually what transport the king cake, transport all those other things into your mouth. So the dough, we're going to be paying special attention to the dough. We're looking for a dough that, mind you, the characteristics I'm going for are soft to touch, chewy in the mouth, a nice chewy dough, something that's not dry, right? So some of those king cakes, especially those store-bought king cakes, you know what I'm talking about. You know what grocery stores sell them. Begin with R, ends with ouse. Okay. So we're also going for something airy and light. That's what we're going for with the dough. Now, our dough, right now we're in the research phase. Tomorrow I'm going to be making a king cake that I found online. It's supposed to be comparable to Haydale's recipe. So I'm going to be making that at the house tomorrow to test that out. But we're going to be going through several doughs, and I'm going to be bringing that information back to you all so that we can review, so we can talk about it, and we can kind of have a conversation about this king cake journey, right? Next up after the dough, and if you have any suggestions for dough that I should try, let me know. post it down below in the comment section. You don't necessarily have to have the all of the information for it. If you have a name of the dough that I should try, maybe you have a recipe that you think that will go well that I should also use, let me know. I'm open. I'm open to it. I'm game for it. Right. This is the collection phase. We're researching right now. So all leads will be hunted down and looked at. So after the dough, quite if you make king cake before, you know what's next. It's that interior filling, right? That interior filling, also known as like the cinnamon sugar. That's the most common one. Um, that's what we're looking at next. Now you probably think to yourself, you know what? I think this guy's overthinking it because really with that cinnamon sugar, there's really not much you can do with that dough, and that's not true. That's not true at all. Actually, if you look at recipes online, you'll notice that the cinnamon sugar can usually there is a oil or there's like some type of liquid that binds the cinnamon sugar to the dough, and that could be butter or vegetable. You see how we got to test these things out? We don't know which one is better. We don't know which one will give you the optimal result, right? And then there's a couple other recipes for the cinnamon sugar, right? Like what is the proper cinnamon to sugar ratio? I've also heard some recipes where individuals use nutmeg. That's just a part of the process, right? Like what's right? We have to find out. I must know the answer to this question. So that's the filling. That's that cinnamon sugar filling. I've even seen some recipes online. Kid you not? I mean, on YouTube. YouTube shows me everything. Um, where some people aren't even using cinnamon sugar; they're using like a filling. Either they use like a fruit filling. I've never had one of these fruit filling ones. I got to tell you. Or even they put the cream cheese in the middle with no cinnamon sugar at all. The Haydell's Bakery the Haydell's cream filled cheesecake cream filled king cake that I love is dough, and then the filling is just placed on top. So every bite of king cake has a bite of filling, that cream cheese filling, but there's still that cinnamon sugar in the middle, right? So I've seen some variations of this, and I got to be honest with you, I want to test them out. I want to live a little. I'm 38 right now, and who's to say how long I'm going to live? And I haven't tried all these king cakes. I haven't tried to make them all at my house. Who's to say how long you're going to live? You might as well live like tomorrow is not promised. Okay, so after that interior filling, we head on over to the folding and braiding, right? Um, the folding method. I mean, to be honest with you, when you look online and you see amateurs do it, like regular humans, their folding and braiding is so precise. They take measurements, they do all these interesting things. But when you look at the if you look at the YouTube videos of some of these other individuals, which we'll review, we're gonna rate some of these videos. Well, no, we'll just react to some of them. When you look at them, you're like, whoa, is that all it takes to fold and braid the dough? That's it. I'm serious. It's crazy. So we're gonna look into that. We're gonna talk about what the optimal method is, especially for us home cooks, right? Because there's several people that leave New Orleans, never go back to the New Orleans region, right? Or maybe you went to Mardi Gras once and you love that king cake. What do you do now? What do you know? What? How do you replace that irreplaceable dessert in your home market? Most likely there isn't an option for you. So with the folding and braiding, um, we're looking for a process that can be easily duplicated, right? We're looking for a great rise before it goes in the oven. Um, there there are a couple options too with the folding and braiding, right? So the folding, of course, is and after you knead the dough, um, and you've had that first rise. This is really the step that talks about how do you position the dough for presentation, right, for cooking. And so there are a couple options that I've researched so far, and They are the no fold or braid. It almost resembles like a donut, right? Then we have the traditional 3-strand braid, which is what you're most likely used to. Then there is an option B. I mean, what an option C, a third option, at Haydale's method, which is where Haydale's Bakery, which I noticed online on one of their videos, they actually, they will actually do a three-strand twist, but then they will roll it, right? And it's intriguing idea. I'm going to use it tomorrow when I make my Haydale's copycat recipe. And then option D is where you do a 3-strand braid, but when you're doing a 3-strand braid, usually you have flour on the table. Well, there was, I think it's Randazzo's. I was looking at their YouTube video, and they actually they replaced the flour on the table with the same cinnamon sugar filling that you use in the interior of the dough, right? So I think that was genius, right? So we're going to look into that. We're going to ask ourselves, how does that change the dough? How does that change the king cake overall? And we'll get into that. So the next step of the process is the icing, the topping, and that colored sugar, that look that everybody goes for. You got to be honest with yourself. That icing could really make or break that king cake, right? I've seen some YouTube videos where the icing is really more like a buttercream frosting, or it's just like powdered sugar and like milk and vanilla. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. That just doesn't sound right. And then the powdered sugar and milk combination frosting, they'll like some of their YouTube recipes, I noticed they'll just apply it while the king cake is hot. So it's almost like a pound cake, right? That little thin layer of frosting that you get on pound cake. And I'm like, oh my God, that seems terrible. But that's what that's what's out here in this world, out here in these streets. So we're gonna, I can't say that we're gonna test all the frosting options. I can't lie, because I already know what pound cake, I've made pound cake before. I know what pound cake frosting tastes like. I don't want to have that on the king cake, but this is a part of the experiment process. So we may look at that. So there's a couple things, a couple characteristics we're going for when we're looking at icing at this time, right? Because if you think about this is like a hypothesis, and this channel is our experiments to test our hypothesis. So for the icing, we're going for something that's smooth, something that's not overly sweet. I find that some of the my wife has made a couple of king cakes, and I find that the icing sometimes is sweeter than I would like. Really, we're going something with a super white finish, so that when that powdered, that color sugar sticks to the frosting, it really stands out. Now, as far as the options for frosting, well, back up. So before we talk about some more icing and the frosting type, the color sugar, really, there's really not much variety with the color sugar. We may do some experimentation with some more expensive sugars and some more expensive food colorings, just to kind of test and see what variations we can get with the king cake. But there's really not much you can do with the color sugar, right? So as far as the icing is concerned, there is traditional buttercream frosting. There is a butter glaze, like I mentioned, often found on pound cakes and bundt cakes. And then there's the traditional king cake frosting, which resembles almost like a fondant, right? So last but not least, we have the cream cheese filled, the cream cheese filling, right? So I don't like king cake if it doesn't have cream cheese filling. I don't. So it's really a non-negotiable for me when I really think about it. I just feel like the king cake by itself is just dry bread, and dry sugar bread. And that's cool. People like that kind of stuff. I don't. So we're not going to be testing out the plain king cake on this channel. I'm sorry. We're looking for. We really should call it the perfect cream cheese filled king cake channel, but that I feel like that title was too long, so we just went with the perfect king cake. If you can, and let's be honest, if I can nail the perfect cream cheese filled king cake, I can nail the regular one. Okay. With the cream cheese topping or filling, right? There's a couple things we're going to look at, right? So if you think about like the Haydale's method is to where they put the cream cheese filling on top of the king cake and they bake it that way. There are other shops where they will just place the cream cheese filling on top of the king cake after it's baked. I don't like that option. We're probably not going to test that option on this channel. Then we have the Randazzo's way. Randazzo, almost in an abusive manner, squirt like they do a three strand braid, right, with the dough. They shape it, right? They shape it into an oval, and then they take a piping bag and they just kind of insert the piping bag into the king cake itself, and they squirt some of the cheese, the cream filling in it. I always wondered how that cream cheese got in there. I never thought about it though. I never, I got to be honest with myself. I never thought to myself like, how are king cakes made? Um, so we're gonna try that method too. We're also gonna try different varieties of cream cheese topping. I mean, a filling, right? So there's a couple of different recipes out that I've noticed that we're going to collect. And like I said, if you have any leads on this kind of stuff, let me know. I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for like this is the research phase, so I'm looking for more information on these items. So, what are we going for with cream cheese? Cream cheese filling, our topping. We're going for creamy, right? Something that has a good mouth feel. We're going for something that's smooth again with that mouth feel. We're going for something that's slightly sweet. We're not going for something that's overly sweet. The cream cheese filling should complement the king cake, right? And that's why it's important that that icing isn't too sweet as well, because if we have an overpowering sweet icing frosting, then we also add a sweet cream cheese filling. It's just I don't like overly sweet things. I like for things to be well balanced, and so we're looking for a balanced king cake on this channel, and that's it. So we have what the plan is, right? And now it's just time to go do our research and execute a couple recipes. So I am looking at doing there's a Haydale's king cake recipe that I'll be knocking out on tomorrow. What we'll do, maybe we'll reconvene next week. I'll take some photos, do a couple of videos of the king cake that I'm making on tomorrow, and we'll chop it up tomorrow. I mean next week. Kind of doing a review of that king cake recipe, kind of talk about what challenges I see with it. Also, I'll share a link to that recipe as well. So if you want to make it yourself and see if maybe maybe I did something wrong when I executed it, that's very possible. I'm not a professional cook or baker or pastry chef. I'm neither one of those. I'm just a person, just a man with a kitchen and some tools. So if you stumble upon this channel, thank you so much for your attention. I appreciate you watching up until this point. Yes, that's correct. This channel is only dedicated to king cake. That's correct. This is the beauty of the internet and the beauty of not having to store these videos anywhere, right? We can just shoot the videos. I don't have to worry about my storage. And this is just a pet project, right? This is just a idea I had about documenting the process of making the perfect king cake. Again, if you have any leads for me for recipes, research, some videos on YouTube that I have not seen, please post them down below. I also have a YouTube playlist that I've already put together with all the king cake videos that I found that I felt had some sort of value in them. You could check that out. You could check that link in down below in the description. Also, you could check that playlist in the main channel. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Hopefully, maybe I'll get some of my family members to join me in this discussion as well as we go down this journey of looking for the perfect king cake. As always, thanks for watching. I appreciate your attention, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.